All right, hello and welcome to another Mr. Pisto Plays Brawl video. We're doing something new, something different. We are doing my very first top 10 video. And what better than the top 10 Brawl Commanders of Kaldheim? So these are my opinions. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, disagree. Try to be polite. It's just my thoughts, my opinions. And I know a fun format. So my opinions are my opinions. And yeah, let's move into number 10. My number 10 card for Kaldheim Commanders is Eskia, God of the Tree, and the Prismatic Bridge. I think I put this in my top 10 list because I think it's going to be really fun to play. I think the Prismatic Bridge aspect is going to be what makes it fun. For Wooburg, so one of each color. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your deck or the top of your library until you reveal a creature or a planeswalker card. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. But really what we're trying to do with this is play a bunch of, or as many as you can, spell ramp cards. So we're going to be probably playing a decent amount of basics because for the most part there is no ramp for non-basic lands. And then hit Wooburg and then just cast big things. Ugin, the new Tybalt, Kogla to remove things. Any fun imaginative creature you can think of. You can play Beanstalk Giant. Oh, I hit a Beanstalk Giant. I get a free 6/6 or 5/5. But it's also a ramp spell that is a good creature. So you're wanting to do ramp, you're wanting to play removal, whether it's spot removal, all the sweepers. And then Eskia, God of the Tree, is a whole nother build that would be considered just like legendary creature ramp, I guess. Honestly, don't think it's that great. I think it'll fit into other multicolored commander decks, or brawl decks, I should say. Brawl commander decks. But I think the Prismatic Bridge is where it's at for this card. All right, moving on to number 9. We have Kardur, Doom Scourge. It's 4 mana, 4/3. And when he enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat, if able, and attack a player other than you, if able. That's obviously a EDH commander thing, but this being able to play this at an opportune time, maybe you're playing against a little weenie deck or token deck, and you can get them to attack into your bigger creatures. And then whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So you playing a Rakdos burn style deck, and then you get them low enough where you can just suicide your creatures in and win the game. So I think that it's a fun Rakdos aggro card that is going to see some play. Right, number 8, we have Jorn, God of Winter, and Kaldring, the Rhyme Staff. So let's start with the creature on this one. The 3 mana 3/3 legendary snow creature god. So he's kind of the snow legendary creature, not only in Brawl but outside of Brawl too. Whenever he attacks, untap each snow permanent you control. So if you're playing Snowlands, you get to play a spell, attack with Yorn, untap all your lands, and maybe other snow creatures or snow permanents that you're playing. And then if he survives, or doesn't have to survive even, then you can play another spell after the attack. And then once you get late game, I think Kaldring, the Rhyme Staff, could come into effect, where you get to Tap it to play a snow permanent card from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. So you get to have access to a whole nother hand by playing Kaldheim the Rhyme Staff and having your graveyard effectively be a 1 spell a turn hand. And that can be very powerful late in the game. Resources are spent, your top deck mode. Now you have your graveyard and your top deck. And another thing, the Sultai Commander. There's really only the one mutate Sultai Commander in Brawl right now. So in Standard Brawl. And I think we finally can build a Sultai Commander. Mind you, it's going to have probably a snow aspect to it. But even if it's just playing snow lands and you're playing 2 spells a turn with Yorn God of Winter, 2 big spells potentially, I think it's a great card and it's going to be lots of fun. All right, number 7. Oops, there you go. We got a spoiler there. It's Torf, God of Fury, or Torf's Hammer. It is a 4 mana 5/4, so it's already big, beefy for its mana cost. It does have trample, which is nice to see on something like this. And whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage, Torf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. So there's big X spells in the format. Perforos Intervention comes to mind. The first thing I thought of with X and 1 red, it deals twice X damage. So you could put 5 or 6 damage into that spell, hit a 1/1, and then throw it at their face. Shatterskull Smashing is something that's played a lot. Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to all creatures. Sure, you might kill Torf unless you can make him bigger, but any excess you can throw in a place where it's not going to kill a creature. It just seems really good. And then his hammer, if you're playing another kind of aggro deck, has equip for 2, and equip creature has pay a red and a colorless. Tap it, untap Torf's Hammer. It deals 3 damage to any target and return its hammer to its owner's hand. So if you're up to the point where the commander cast is too big for Torf, you just equip it, unattach it, return the hammer to your hand, and you can play Torf for a 5/4 again. It gives you that opportunity to recycle your permanent and not always have it come in as Torf. All right, on to number 6. We have another red spell. This time it's Aegir, the Freezing Flames. 3 mana for Is It. 3/3 legendary giant wizard. This is a really cool creature type. And it says whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls is dealt excess damage, the giant wizard or spell you control dealt damage to it this turn, draw a card. So rather than, this play is very different than Torf or Torgar, our guy we had just before. This time you're drawing cards rather than dealing extra damage. So you're playing more of a tempo control style where the other guy is just, let's throw it at their face. Having giant wizard makes it really cool to be able to play giant wizard tribal. I've been looking for a good cool Is It commander, and I think this could be one for us in the Brawl format. Moving on to number 5, we have Coma, Cosmos Serpent. 7 mana is a lot, but Simic does ramp very well. To be fair, this is probably suited for a Kinnan style deck. It fits right in there, but the fact it can't be countered. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil. And if you sacrifice another serpent, choose one. Tap target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated this turn. Or Coma Cosmos Serpent gains indestructible until the end of turn. So if it survives from your turn to your opponent's turn, that's a 3/3. Back to you, that's a 3/3. Back to them, that's a 3/3. And those 3/3s not only can attack and block, but they can fuel Coma's ability. And if you can get to 7 and play this and it sticks, probably winning the game. That's number 5, Coma, Cosmos Serpent. Number 4, we have Halvar God of Battle and his sword, Sword of the Realms. The 4 mana 4/4 creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. And at the beginning of each combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control, target creature you control, so you can bounce things around. At the beginning of your combat, let's say you have something that had a little thing at the beginning of the game that had an enchantment or an equipment, and you want to move it over, you can do that. It does give the ability to destroy that creature and you lose the enchantment, but it would have probably been destroyed from the original creature anyways. But giving things double strike and just being a 4 mana 4/4 is, I think, very powerful. And its sword is also very powerful. For 2 mana, you can play the Sword of the Realms and you equip for 2 mana. There's a efficient equip cost. The creature gets +2/+0 and has vigilance, so it can block and attack. Whenever it dies, return it to its owner's hand. You put this on a creature that's got a really cool enter the battlefield effect. Okay, now destroy my creature. Let me play my so-and-so again. Let me play my Bone Crusher Giant again. Oh, I get to stomp something and play my giant again? Oh, that's cool. Like, the card has a lot of potential. Both sides, early and late. All right, on to number 3. In the top 3, my first card in the top 3 is Tigra God of Fright and Tigrid's Lantern. This creature can do disgusting things. 5 mana 4/5. It's a little expensive in black, but if you have enough mana artifacts to get it out in 1 turn, you got the Signet 2 turns early. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So just Tigrid herself can take over games. With Elspeth's Nightmare, you destroy their little thing, you get it. Maybe they don't want to discard their spells, so they discard a land. You get a land so that when Tigrid dies, you can bring her back that much more easily. Liliana, Walker of the Dead. This even makes Mind Drop potentially playable in the format. Just discard 2 cards. Late game, if you get them, they're going to be playing things late game. So then you let her die. You put down Tigrid's Lantern, and now all of a sudden they're sacrifice, or every turn they're paying 3 life. And eventually they can't pay the life and they're going to sacrifice things and they're going to give up. Skull Raid, Demon's Disciple, Soul Shatter, all great things to make people sacrifice creatures. And it's the ultimate pair with Rankle. Sacrificing creatures, discarding cards from hand. It goes super well in a Rankle deck or with Rankle in a Tigrid deck. I love this card. I think it's going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be that much fun to play against, but I think it's going to be a great card to build around. All right, on to number 2. My number 2 card for MTG Arena Brawl is Kaya the Inexeparable. Say that 3 times fast. Planeswalkers, they're always good for Brawl Commanders, especially in Standard. And I just think she's a really good general. Being able to give something a ghost form counter on a creature, and when this creature dies or is put into exile, so no matter how it leaves the battlefield, unless you blink it, you don't want to blink it, return it to your hand and create a 1/1. So it leaves something behind to protect Kaya. It comes back to your hand so you can replay it. If you really want to replay your own spell, you can always exile your own permanent. I wouldn't recommend that, but that is something you could do. You have that 7 mana giant. and you want to play the 5 mana Wrath because you need a Wrath, exile your giant after you put a counter on it because they're not going to want to blow it up. And then you can Wrath the board again. And then it's -7. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a legendary spell from your hand, from your graveyard, or from among cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. So you may have to bend the cards you play in your deck if you want its -7 to be good. 2 turns away from that ultimate, or you just play around with the ghost form and the -3 and you can exile an Ugin. Like, it comes down after Ugin, it comes down after any of the big spells, including our next one, our number 1. A little bit of a hint there. And it's just all around, I think, is a good controlling Orzhov commander, and we'll see lots of play. All right, my number 1 Brawl Commander coming out of Kaldheim. If you like the video, subscribe, notify, hit the like button, put a comment. What is your favorite legendary creature coming out of Kaldheim to build around for Brawl? I know Brawl is not the biggest, best, amazing format, but I really like it. Commander has always been my thing, but being away from everything makes it so I can't play it other than MTGO. And here it is, my number 1 favorite commander from Kaldheim is Valki, God of Lies, combined with Tibalt, Cosmic Imposter. Well, let's get Valki out of the way. The 2 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they reveal this way until Valki leaves the battlefield. Then you can pay X, choose a creature card exiled with Valki with converted mana cost X. Valki becomes a copy of that card. To be fair, this is not why it's number 1. It could be good against coming up against aggro, against mono green aggro, against mono green, or against mono red, and you just want to strip something that's important from them. Go for it. I like the Tibalt, 7 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker, comes in with an emblem. You may play cards exiled with Tibalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast these spells. Right away, the emblem makes it so that it's +1, or +2, I should say. Each exile the top card of each player's library. You get to draw those 2. You get to use them whenever you want. Tibalt dies, you still get to play them. You can exile the best thing on your opponent's board, and the next turn, you can play them. Or in 2 turns, you can exile all graveyards, add 3 red mana. The 3 red mana doesn't make too much sense, but I guess it gives you to be able to, you hit land drop, you can play 12 mana worth of spells. And with +2/+2, -8 means Tibalt lives. So all the removal, all the sweepers in black and red, there's damage-based sweepers in red, there's exile-based sweepers and -2 or -3 based sweepers in black. Control the board with Rakdos, and then bam, the ball comes down. You get to play things for basically free, and that's the game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for watching. Those are my top 10 commanders, Brawl Commanders that are in standard coming from Kaldheim. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.